We're going to talk about persona poems later in the panel, but I'm going to start off with some personal poems, autobiographical poems, and then move into a couple of persona poems, and then in the panel we can discuss the connection between these poems that I've chosen to present. This first poem is called Once More to the Lake, which is a title that's stolen from E.B. White's famous essay, Once More to the Lake. For my sister. Didn't you just tell me you loved me? Didn't you just say you were sad about God? And just now, was that the sound of early morning, lake softly breathing? Now, at this hour, I can't bear to let go. Didn't we just dance on the beach with bare feet? Weren't we lovely? And wasn't my hair curled? Weren't my lips painted pink? Lily of the valley pinned, sweet perfume soaking my hair. Wasn't that yesterday? And weren't we happy and weren't we strong, muscles flexing under tanned skin as we dove in, trout spinning their shimmering funnels around us? Weren't we a family? Weren't we? And wasn't our father charming that day on the lake, his blue hat flying off in the wind? And wasn't he marvelous? His enormous authority as he leaned from the truck window, Marlboro dangling from his mouth, his silent concentration as he snugged, inch by inch, our trailer into its narrow slot. And wasn't he wonderful in the mornings before he'd been drinking, how he hauled the jet skis into the lake, rainbows of gasoline glistening? We watched strapped in bright pink life jackets as he choked the engines, then throttled them until they screamed. I loved him, you know. This is our story. We wore green bikinis, cutoffs and thongs, white-rimmed sunglasses even. We all drank rum in a cabin, and even then you knew you shouldn't marry that man. You married him. Even then he slammed you down on the concrete, and our parents never said a thing. Even then he forgot your birthday, and you were only 16, and that was before you were pregnant, before I whispered abortion, before we dove into the lake and witnessed our own distortion underwater, before we knew our father would not survive his life, the life we helped construct and destroy. And everyone keeps saying, it was not, it is not your fault, and it's not. But go back, go deeper. Had we not been so clever, had we not been so evil, had we not fought over the one blue cup, had we not bawled in the Mexican restaurant, if we went back, maybe we'd try to be better, learn to build engines because, having only daughters, he had to do this alone. Didn't we all love one another once on the lake before we could look back and grieve, before cancer in the femur, before alcohol poisoning, before liver failure, before all these sad children, before everything collapsed? Weren't we blessed? Weren't we lovely? Once I wore perfumed flowers and a white cotton dress. Once we smiled for the camera near the lake, its cold turquoise drowsy and deep while we stood, clinging. I'm asking you to take me back, once more, to the lake. Letter to a 16-year-old girl. You want your stepdad to love you, so you vacuum the living room for 45 minutes, down on your knees, run that dirty hose along every edge, scour the stairs, the couch, suck each cushion clean, clean, clean. But when he comes home, he sees one tiny scrap of paper right in the middle of the floor, and he turns to glare at you and say, fucking worthless, as usual. Just get in your car, girl, and drive, drive, don't look back. You don't have to love him, but I know you will. You'll drive those gray country roads and sob because his father shredded him with a belt, because he was always the tallest boy at school, because he had a lazy eye. And you'll love him because when he got the call to war, you saw him cry and guzzle a bottle of vodka when he thought no one was watching, rev up his motorcycle, and race away. He tore around the blind corner so fast that he slid, bike on top of him, through 50 feet of searing gravel. He limped home, bloody, his whole knee pink hamburger. They shipped him anyway. You'll love him because he hardly ever laid a hand on you, though he wanted to, when he was brilliant red and trembling with rage at you, at himself, at the whole goddamn world. This next one is a villanelle. And you'll hear, if you're not familiar with what a villanelle is, you'll hear the particular refrains and rhyme patterns that move through it. Reasons. You who just to feel your falling fell, unlocked your eyes to splendid shame. You who craved delicious hell, fell to feel the spark in every cell, shock of knowing shimmers your brain. You who just to feel your falling fell into silence, aching tongue of bell, hungry to be rung, to sound your name. You who crave delicious hell, yearn for serpents, toxic tonics they sell, their promise to feed, to satiate pain. You who just to feel your falling fell into love, its incinerating spell, its sad hiss of ashes after the flame. You crave delicious hell. The thrill of bitter bliss propels you to part your lips, taste, relish, blame. You who crave delicious hell. You who just to feel your falling fell. This is called No Apologies for My Stepfather. Oh, Dad, not this. Every day you drink a fifth of vodka you've stashed behind the fabric softener. Did I tell you I'm trying to quit? Did I tell you in my dreams orange stars of fungus sprout from my palms, my forearms? Stinging blossoms blister my skin. Spores pour brown poison from my face. Sour bourbon, mildewed garment, hangs on my body, collar buttoned too tight to the throat, and I wake wishing you a cool jade pool in which to bathe your body, your young body, sun-browned and towering. And I wish you your long black hair pulled back in a ponytail, and your mind scrubbed clean of the Philippines, the barracks, the rifles, your torn and tortured spine. I wish you washed clean by someone who never speaks, whose tender hands leave a dusting of gold on your face, your chest, someone who can drain everything bitter inside you, the secrets you never speak. And I will meet you, I will meet you, and we will begin again in a paradise of no apologies. So I have two more that are persona poems. And like I said, we can discuss this more in the panel, but I'm thinking the connection here of the poems I'm going to read are about the wolf from Red Riding Hood. And I'm imagining this wolf, you know, everybody just imagines him to be this evil villain who's out to destroy everybody's lives. And I think maybe that's not what he wanted. And so I'm trying to tap into his gentle side and his desire to be loved and not just be stigmatized by, you know, being the big bad wolf. And so that's kind of the connection I'm seeing between the poems I've read about my father, my stepfather, and the wolf. This is called Wolf Wears Red Riding Hood's Cape. When the story is silent behind its hard covers, Wolf slips into the cape, becomes a mind of clean wind. His clumsy paws arrange delicate shawls around grandmother's shoulders. Gently, he combs her thin hair. A wonderful sadness washes through him when he wanders in fields glistening bluebells, their heads bowed in reverence. He hears their soft prayers. For hours he labors with a paintbrush, watercolors, paints sunsets for grandmother, orange, purple, and gold. She fastens his pictures high on her walls. He floats in a cold river, opens his eyes underwater, feels the pure ecstasy of distortion. He sleeps next to grandmother. In the dark, she tells him of baby Moses, adrift in his tiny ark. And then this last one. After I read this last one, I'm going to step away from the podium for a moment because then I'm coming back to introduce Bill, and I don't just want to stand here, you know, basking in applause for however long. This is another one about this character, the wolf, wanting to be loved and wanting to have tenderness in his life. And I don't know if envy is the right word, but just desiring that in his life. And this is called Wolf Watches Red Riding Hood in the Spring. The velvet buds split, reveal satin lips of magnolia. When they open, their bright fragrance drenches the air with their pure insistence on being. How would it feel to be so soft, so lovely? How would it feel to be tended, to be touched so tenderly, to feel another creature brush its lips against your face, a creature who craves your clean essence only? When the girl arrives in her red cloak, when she unfastens the hook at her throat, and the heavy cloth falls from her body, she is the magnolia, all blush and shimmer, bumblebees dipping and tumbling. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm not as good as Jennifer. Jennifer writes new introductions for all of the stuff, and I just can't do that. So this is the same one that some of you heard earlier, which I apologize for, but we have several new faces in the audience. So first of all, thank you to Brian, who introduced me, and he was once my student and a fantastic student. And and I'm Bill's student. And thanks to Star and everybody who's done so much work for this. This is wonderful. Look at this crowd, and this is Logan, Utah. You know, this is wonderful. Okay, so thank you for coming to hear Bill Trowbridge, Poet Laureate of Missouri, come to read from his work today. We're very lucky to have him. Lots of people worked really hard to make this visit possible, especially thanks to Jennifer Sinor, who has really done a lot. Yes, Jennifer. And Karina Hall, our sexy PR person. A lot to publicize, so thank you so much, Karina. William Trowbridge holds a BA in philosophy and an MA in English from the University of Missouri-Columbia and a PhD in English from Vanderbilt University. His poetry publications include 5 full collections, Ship of Fool, The Complete Book of Calm. Both of those are available for sale tonight, and we will sign them during the open mic. I have a book for sale as well, The Red Riding Hood Papers, a chapbook. You can buy Bill's book from our wonderful saleswoman back there, and then my book is available for $14, and it's cash or check payable to me, Shanan Ballam. Okay, also he has Flickers, Oh Paradise, and Enter Dark Stranger, and also 3 chapbooks, The Packing House Cantata, The 4 Seasons, and The Book of Calm. His awards include an Academy of American Poets Prize, a Pushcart Prize, a Breadloaf Writers Conference Scholarship, a Camber Press Poetry Chapbook Award, and fellowships from the McDowell Colony, Ragdale, Yaddo, and the Anderson Center. He is a distinguished university professor emeritus at Northwest Missouri State University, where he was an editor of the Laurel Review, Green Tower Press from 1986 to 2004. Now living in Lee's Summit, Missouri, he teaches in the University of Nebraska Low Residency MFA in Writing program, which is where I met Bill in 2005 when I attended my first residency as a poetry writing student. In his first lecture about serio-comic poetry, that's poetry which is both funny but has a very serious bite to it, his brilliance as a poet, his sense of humor, his honesty, and his genuine kindness were all immediately apparent to me, and all of those qualities shine in his poetry. Bill's poetry is all-encompassing. It is at once brutal, tender, hilarious, and dark. His poetry takes us on great journeys through time and space. In his latest book, Ship of Fool, we are catapulted from earth to heaven and into the dark recesses of hell as we are led through a history of human greed, cruelty, and misunderstanding. But this history is lit with hope, kindness, and forgiveness. The character of Fool leads us through his history and through his journey, and though his journey is marked by violence and misunderstanding, he is still good enough or fool enough to forgive and to believe in humanity. Take, for instance, the poem World's Biggest Fool, wherein the fool suddenly gains 2 tons of weight. He becomes so enormous that he bounds through the ionosphere and into space, where he takes his place as the 9th planet in our solar system. He becomes so large that his heart takes up a galaxy. There is room in it for all humankind. Today, I am proud to introduce William Trowbridge, who is not only my friend, but one of the most, if not the most, important teachers I will ever have in my life. Thank you.